All right, thank you. Good evening. Okay, so sticking to the discussion that happened previously, biomimicry, can you run the presentation, please? Okay, you can hit next. So the thing is that around the globe, whenever we're looking at these examples, they're continuously being associated. Can you hit next? They're continuously being associated with these terminologies: biomimicry, digital, associative, parametric, so on and so forth. Can you go back? Because I think the animation is not running. Can you go back? Oh, I can go back. Sorry, I forgot. There we go. A lot of these examples around the globe are that's influencing us, and often they're associated with the terminology that we heard before, biomimicry. What's happening, in my opinion, is the fact that they are aping forms. Not all of them. That's just a very blatant way to put it across. Lot of attempts are actually just trying to replicate the visual clue that any structure is providing. And often there is a confusion academically even and professionally that these terminologies are kind of associated with all of them, which is true. And there is no like distinction between each of them. For those who are interested, this is a professional pipeline in the software world that is being followed to achieve these targets. Just throw in there. However, such structures have been existing in the world for over a century. So this is an example of people aware. This is in Madrid. This is an oceanographic center. This is a chapel in Mexico. This is all 50s, 60s, 1940s. This is a bunch of 200 Mexicans trying to put the shuttering system for this chapel. So the labor force that exists, we are also kind of blessed with it. The only point, and of course someone mentioned in the talk about the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona by Antonio Gaudí. Now this building construction started in the previous century, like 19th century, 20th century, early 20th century, and still going on. Just to elaborate, that is like a catenary model mimicking the shape, a compression member that once gets inverted forms the arches for the chapel. Beautiful handkerchief models, test models by Hilario Dieste. This is in Uruguay, again 1950s. We are probably all familiar with the soap bubble experiments by Frei Otto, German engineer architect. Built these very familiar tensile structures now, but what was happening back then is he had to invent the simulation by 64 physical computers, scaling down every member into live models, and they're not replication models, they're noticing how the mesh relaxes over time. Look at these crazy cantilevers, again by Uruguay. These are like bus stations and gas stations, petrol stations, built in 1952, if I'm not mistaken. We go crazy on such forms now, and we wonder how to build it in concrete or alternate materials. This is just brick. This is just compression acting on brick. Sine curves. These are just sine curves. If people who are interested in math, the sine curves just goes crest and trough, and then a cos is basically a phase shift of a sine curve. 11th class, 12th maths for those who are interested. The only reason I'm showing this is that these have been around for such a long time. Indian architects, international architects have been discussing this across, and computational thinking and biomimicry has been all around us. So, any quick show of hands, anyone knows what this is? A dragonfly wing. So this is a load distribution diagram of a dragonfly wing. It's a simple principle of a cantilever. So the costa, which is the top edge, takes the maximum load. There is a reason why we have extra mass at the shear end, which is normal science. Every engineer, every architect deals with it. But this is a lattice structure, or how do you distribute the load further down? And the wider you go, the more flexible it is. Snowflakes. Every snowflake ever since Earth existed is different. Reason being, the atmospheric pressure is different, humidity is different. What I'm getting to is, biomimicry is not just visual clues. It's the systems that matter. What are the clues that you can pick up? It's not necessary that I have to make a building looking like this. Can I pick up from the branching logic of the snowflake? Can I pick up from the hexagon logic of the snowflake? Can I pick up from the growth logic of a snowflake? Can I pick up from the aggregation logic of a bubble? Why does the bubble retain its shape? Because there is the external pressure and the internal pressure balances out. And that's a minimum touch pops it. Because you've kind of toggled with that pressure balance. These were the clues that, again, someone mentioned Buckminster Fuller. This was the clue that Buckminster Fuller, again a German engineer, an architect, kind of continued with his structures. Magnetic systems. That's the Earth's magnetic field. That's a simple north-south. So, by altering the magnetic field, are you able to create these patterns? And these patterns are then probably useful in some sort of an urban principle, street pattern, landscape element, whatever you see in it. Depends on each individual. But more than the visual pattern, are you able to use the parameters of setting up this system? This is my favorite video. Probably someone has experiences. This is called swarm intelligence. Termites, ants, birds, schools of fish. Everybody displays this. So what's happening? Simple rule. They don't care about the eventual form. It might be beautiful to us. But the bird, starling in this case, within that formation doesn't care about the eventual form. They're following the simple rules. Don't bump into me. I steer left, you steer left completely. I follow the general direction. And the result is these amazing forms that get created. Okay, how are we as a practice using these ideas? So I start off with something local. This is a sports project we're doing in Chandrapur. We were doing in Chandrapur. The project is stalled. The site was completely beautiful. They had a flat piece of land. However, the hills around it were creating this magnificent kind of vista. We were most concerned, along with the clients, we were most concerned about how the water is going to drain. So all we did, in terms of biomimicry, was we created a code that would just tell us what the natural drainage of the land would be, right? So you get a kind of a delta system. We were surprised that while the land looks flat, the natural flow is looking at this delta system, and of course it flows down to the Brahmaputra, which is about kilometers crow's flight. So hence we were able to at the early stages, we were able to worry about the drainage systems or what the potential football field would be. The field does not matter, the design does not matter, it's just that we're trying to understand the system that will help us further. Just for example, this is what the eventual look would be, and yes, there are tools and softwares to develop the roof and etc., but the point is, again, the system was used just for the site analysis. Here, we use the magnetic principles just to get the site planning going. So what we did was, in a simulation, we planted like 5 magnets there and put in some attractors there and repellers there. So, and eventually it gave us these, by just changing, the kind of magnitude of each of these magnets, we are able to create these site patterns. For another competition project, this is a memorial project in New Delhi. We didn't win it. We love the project. We didn't win it. But just to show, again, the system was placed only for site planning principles, not necessarily the visual appeal. Okay, this is very interesting. This is something very, very recent. My time's running out, but I'm very excited to show this. This is a recent code we've been dabbling with. This is, you've heard of AI, you heard of ML. This is AI in architecture, interior space planning right now. So this is based on what termites do for their termite hills. We're leaving clues, pheromones, and we're setting a target for the software. We're setting it, I want an area of, let's say, 8 square meters for whatever function, let's say a hall, and I need 2 square meters for a toilet right next to it, but they have to be adjacent. All architects, you've done adjacency diagrams, bubble diagrams. This is pretty much the setting up the rules for bubble diagrams. The only 2 things here we're setting up, that each space should have a certain area, and the other rule is that the adjacency should match. That means if I'm setting up, it should be physically connected, it should be physically connected. What it does is, by setting up this simple rule, you see these dots pointing up and these, it has generated 100 plans just for that simple rule. I want like the bedroom next to the toilet, and I want accurate. That is like 80% accurate in terms of space and 80% accurate in terms of tendency. We've used this software actually for a sports project, which is a simple layout exercise of 5 acres of what can fit in. So you look at that football field top. We've got the futsal, tennis, and basketball adjacency together. However, the site is this way. Why did we develop this tool? Because our client has 1,000 sites of different shapes. And I'm not getting paid to do a master plan for each of those sites independently. So we developed this tool that starts giving us clue that we can churn out these examples way faster. So I'm still hoping to get paid for the software by the client, but let's see. Similarly, can you play all the videos, please? ये 4 videos हैं, आप उसके ऊपर hover करेंगे तो चल जाएगा. एक चल रहा है अभी बस. हाँ, play कर देंगे. एक तो चल रहा है next वालों के ऊपर. हाँ, ये play कर दीजिए. ओए, नहीं? हाँ, there. नीचे वाले भी 2 पे चला दीजिए. Time up हो गया सर. जल्दी चला दो. वो वाला भी चला दो. Perfect. So what's happening here is, again, this is a competition for a railway station and a real estate development in Delhi. What we are doing, these are again early tools for people who work in the public sector. You know, you don't get time for churning out proposals again. What we've done here is that a simple tool that's giving us, if you feed in the ratio of commercial to residential, it's churning out results. You feed in the FAR, and it's showing you different possibilities of massing. So there's a guy going crazy there, that you have a central tower, you're an apex tower, you're an end tower. So these are early tools, again, to test the FAR, to test the massing, test the heights, and test, of course, the land use, the ground coverage, etc. So multiple rules, same idea, is just at smaller scales. Remember Fry Auto example? We are also doing mesh relaxation just to get our tensile structures going. The minimum surface area, minimum use of materials, then of course, structural engineers help us with the stress analysis. And then the beauty of it all is this is all high-end software. End of the day, it gets delivered by the beautiful labor that we have, and they are giving this. So the formwork was this by a local darji in Bangalore. Very interesting story. We were showing this crazy shapes, and we had cutting patterns. And then this turns around and says, "Bhaiya, pajama silna hai." I'm like, "Hanji, pajama silna hai." And then he gives us these beautiful seams that are cut to get the doubly curved surface. And then, of course, hand-rendered by the local masons. Beautiful work. So this is just an entrance canopy for BMSC College in Bangalore. Push the idea further, mesh relaxation. This is for another competition we did for the MR Mosque in Dubai. Again, we didn't win the project, but just the scripts were written. We were just testing it out as a roof there. Again, testing it out further for a residence in Noida. Again, testing it out further for a project in KDMC. Here, this is not an honest mesh relaxation. It's just us messing further. So we are developing these tools, but these tools are also kind of helping us to solve quick problems. This is our cricket stadium in Silvassa. So of course, the roof kind of helps. As we are doing this, of course, we want to know budgets. Nothing is so. There's a conception that such kind of projects are expensive. They will cost time and money. So what we're doing is every time we do a mesh relaxation, we're also kind of spitting out what is the area and what is the cost of such. Okay, a small simulation for a plaza in Nehru Place in Delhi, how people can possibly walk. You throw in a couple of layers. I'm just rushing through because this guy is just beeping red in my face. Last 2 slides. At the student level, this is my second year students in Gurgaon. This is also based on aggregation logic. If you're aware of radiozoas, unicellular species, what they have a simple logic. They don't know what their shape will be, but they only have a simple logic of growth. So what's happening here is that we've only got one module, one simple triangle module, and it has a growth logic. You can only kiss it face to face, you can't go butt to face. Like, sorry for that fruity language, but that's the logic. It only goes, like you cannot adjoin it at the center. You only have to go just make it kiss. And end of the day, what happens is you get these beautiful 120-degree geodesics. So they just keep on growing, and how crazy, whatever. You see one structure here, there's another person there. Same logic, but a different module. So now this time it's a fan shape for that one, and this is a triangle. And this was another one with bamboo. Someone mentioned bamboo, so I quickly threw this in. This is a small exercise. This is for a hypothetical scenario that there is a disaster. You need to respond to it by simply picking up whatever stick sizes that you might get. So all the stick sizes vary. How do you put together is a simple growth logic again. For anyone who's interested, I'm still available to have this conversation further. All right, my time's been up for a while. Thank you.
So we have time for 2 questions from the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Are you okay with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone has any questions for Mr. Abhishek? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, where?
So the apps that you guys have developed, so is it available for the general public?
Yeah. The one I showed you, it's called termite.tools. You can go, just go online and check it out for yourself. It's actually designed for apartment layouts. We've kind of modified it for our master planning. There are for people who are interested. I'm in the world of Grasshopper and Rhino, so there are gazillion plugins. Some are paid, some are not. So they are available. Yeah. For those who are interested in urban design, there is a very beautiful software that's called TestFit. Currently it has American bylaws coded. So literally you give it a site, you give it a Google location, you give it a boundary, and you tell it it's a warehouse, it's a housing, it's a mall or whatever, how much parking you need, and you'll be surprised.
We have time for one last question. Anybody in the audience? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Mr. Abhishek Bij for that wonderful presentation.